Greetings, my dudes and dudettes. I know this might seem a bit weird, but yes, we are indeed revisiting the Setto Prime. The reason we're doing that isn't just because I'm a silly sausage and I do random things, but rather because of this. Galvanized Savvy and the innate 60% condition overload effect are multiplicative to base damage sources on direct hits of the alt fire. So the weapon has multiplicative condition overload on direct hits with a glaive. And I was a bit bummed out that I didn't actually play around with it, I didn't even try it. So while yes, we are revisiting the Setto Prime today, we're not actually going to focus on the primary fire, but instead focus on the glaive. So let's give that a shot, shall we? Ideally, we don't break this with any additional forma, but if we do, oh well. Now, the main issue with this is going to be the base damage. Like, the stats on the glaive aren't the best. You have 20 damage on the direct hit and then 10 on the explosion. That's not a lot. I think Frostbite's still gonna be the best for this. Crit damage, multi-shot, yeah. Definitely need prime point blank for the base damage, and we absolutely want to double down on Gandhi Overload with Savvy. This will also give us a ton of status, and I think this is gonna be like the biggest difference in the build. I want to use Arcane Avenger to get the crit on the glaive a little bit higher, so that we can actually scale crit with it. We're gonna need all the damage we can get here, because the baseline is so low. So we want to go with primed elemental mods, if at all possible. Yeah, that is a lot of extra damage. So we want to squeeze in Prime Charge Shell somewhere, somehow. Let's get Primed Ravage for the crit damage and Hell for multi-shot. I don't think the fire rate actually does anything for the glaive. So we get 30% plus 45, so 75% crit with Avenger. That's pretty good. Yeah, we can put a V into the empty slot without breaking the original build, and we can either run Hunter Munitions, though Magnetic, Blast and Slash is a strange combination, or we can just go Corrosive here. Guess we can do it like that, yeah. Let's put a V in there and then run Corrosive. There it is, we get Corrosive, bit of status, and we still have a functional build just in case this doesn't work. Let's bump it down a little bit. I mean, this is a bit of a meme build. Better than I expected. On the direct hits, the explosions don't do much. But yeah, the direct hits actually got a chunk. I don't think Corrosive Cold is the way to go. I think this would be better with like maybe gas. Or just like vital electricity, I guess. This will break the original build, but no, well, let's finagle the forma around. There we go, and putting Galvanized Savvy. Lovely. Dude, this is actually not half bad. And we don't have like full armor strip either. We do get some from the glaive because the glaive procs heat. But, this is interesting. This might end up being like an actual build. Harold should help a lot. We do need to switch him over to Corrosive though. There is no way this actually works. Look at it. Yeah, Harold was like the key here. It's so much more priming. What the hell? Let's do a proper 190 test. Get out of here, dude. This is actually... Look at the damage! Wowee! Yeah, just running the electricity so that it chains around, plus Harold. That's so strong! Now for a proper mission test though. I am genuinely impressed by this. Is it as good as like a normal AoE weapon? No. But I am gonna say that this is better than the first build I did on the Cedo, because it's not that different. Like the mod setup isn't that different. So the primary fire still does a lot of single target, but we have so much more power in the glaive, it's unreal. It does require Avenger to crit reliably though, so bear that in mind. I am absolutely gonna use this build over the last one. This is just better. I think this is a great example of why we should always like question builds and not copy them one for one. If you think something else is better, try it. It might be. Like, I'm not all-knowing, I'm not God yet. Man, the bounty was like good, it was fine, but it was over 200. Here at like 120-ish in the void, it is absolutely ripping them to shreds. Best thing about this, right, is that you have all the clear of the glaive, which is like, this is decent clear. I would say this is like a B-ish clear, but if you run something beefier, all it takes is a single tap of the primary fire and they explode, because you have so much damage scaling. Let's do a bit of a single target test, shall we? Yep. Oh, where are you going, buddy? Yep, that is more than good enough. What a tremendous little setup. I absolutely love this. Like this Eximus, for example. Pop, pop, dead. Just straight up. Now, while I think this build is superior to the one I did before, I would still recommend you try both, because this build is a little bit more expensive. forma-wise, and also mod-wise, there's a lot of galvanized and primed stuff, but yeah, definitely try them both and see which one you like better. Oh, now that's satisfying, my god. It's always so fun when you try to make a meme build and it actually ends up being really good. So I actually ended up investing a little bit more into this. I added an extra forma and an exhaust adapter just so I can run galvanized acceleration, because one of the things that was bothering me a little bit is how long it took for the glaive to do all the bounces and return. I would only do this if you really want to min-max this, so if you just want to have a fun little setup and you don't care about min-maxing everything, the acceleration isn't that important. You can save yourself the forma and adapter. With that said though, the Setto Prime actually has really good range. The fall-off is quite impressive for a shotgun, and galvanized acceleration adds even more range. So it's definitely nice to have. But anyway, let's go over the build. For the arcane we have primary frostbite for the crit damage and multi-shot. Then we're running prime point blank for base damage, galvanized hell for multi-shot, crit deceleration for crit chance, prime ravage for crit damage, galvanized savvy for a ton of status chance, and multiplicative condition overload on direct hits of the glaive. And we top it off with prime charge shell for a ton of electricity, as well as prime chilling grasp and toxic barrage for vital and a bit of status. Primed elemental mods are quite important for the glaive because the base damage is so low. The direct hit damage is 20 and the explosion damage from the glaive is only 10. So adding in as much damage as possible is super duper important. Another thing that's kind of important is some final crit chance bonus. I ended up using Arcane Avenger so that with critical deceleration we get 75% crit chance on the glaive. Now you don't necessarily have to use Arcane Avenger, but you do want some final crit chance bonus, so you want to run it on Harrow or Frost or Citrine, or just run a Kavat with Cat's Eye. Sevagot would be another good frame to run with this. And you of course want to have a good priming pet. I was using Good Boy Harold with Magnetic, Corrosive, Puncture, Impact, Cold, and Radiation. As I mentioned already, I think it's really fun when you just try to be a bit of a silly sausage and try to make a meme build and end up making something that's actually better than a more serious build that you ran before. And this is absolutely one of those scenarios. Yes, it does kind of require a final crit chance bonus, because otherwise it's kind of pointless to try and scale crit on the glaive, but it is actually a really fun build and it's more well-rounded than a more standard, more generic build for the Cedo Prime that mainly focuses on the primary fire, because you get the AoE of the glaive and the single target of the primary fire, so it utilizes the Cedo Prime much better in my opinion. So yeah, definitely give this a shot, it's pretty cool. And as always guys, I thank you very much for watching and I hope you've enjoyed the video. Then I would also like to extend a special thank you to all the channel members. Thank you very much guys, I really appreciate your support, it means a lot to me. And I'll see you next time, bye bye.